But who are you voting for this election?
Bill Weber.
Go out and vote. There's no excuses. I'll take you myself, okay? If you don't vote for Bill Weber, you vote for the other side, you're basically voting for another TV show.
Where do you live?
I live in Chestnut Ridge, which is right over here. Yeah,
We were there last night.
Well, thankfully, I managed to get there without traffic, which is pretty good. Actually, yeah. So
How'd you pull that off?
Good question. So first of all, I'm British, and I became a citizen. That's number one.
Where in Britain are you from?
From London, like north of London.
My sister used to live in Wimbledon area.
Wimbledon. Oh wow, nice. Okay, yeah, it's Edgware. I'm very proud to be an American citizen. I can tell you that. So number one, it's very nice to meet you. I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
Busing, right? The stuff in busing, which let's say you went the extra mile with the busing, which is great for the country. I want to ask you about the school vouchers. Would be a possibility in New York.
In New York, it's tough. I'm in favor of school choice, school vouchers. I grew up and went to private school for 12 years, so I know the expense that it costs, and my parents experienced the same cost. You have a very large opposition to it in New York State. Mm-hmm. We were talking about with some other stakeholders here as well. Mm-hmm. I think you'd have a better chance at the federal level. I think having a partner with Mike Lawler in Congress, hopefully the Congress stays or at least the House stays in Republican. They get the Senate, you get a Republican president. I think you have a better chance there because I've seen the opposition in Albany. Just being there 2 years, they're not only opposed to vouchers, but a lot of the majority is opposed to even charter schools for kids to go and, failing public school areas to go to charter schools.
Wow.
There's a big push against that as well. So I would say realistically our better chance in the short run would be in the federal because it's very expensive to live in this area, especially with the amount of taxes we're paying, knowing the fact that a lot of families that have moved into our area pay those taxes, but also send their kids to the private school. So I think having some sort of a voucher, some sort of deductibility of their tuition, I think is a good thing.
That's what we want.
And I think coupled with that, we need to get that SALT tax, which is basically a limit on how much you can deduct in your state and state and local taxes.
Yeah.
If that gets lifted as well, people will have more and more money in their pocket, and that's what it's about.
I mean, I'm not going to say how much a bottle of wine today is, but I'm sure it's
probably
affected by
more than I was a couple of years ago, for sure.
Yeah, right. I mean, I was able to buy a bottle of wine. Now I can't. But I will. The point is that 1,500 constituent cases that you resolved since 2023, which is amazing. Wow. What's your favorite case that you resolved?
I'll tell you one of the favorite cases, most rewarding. We were at a street fair, and there was a woman that came up to us that said that our office was able to get her a wheelchair.
Okay.
So her insurance company kept an eye on giving her the money to purchase the wheelchair that should have been covered under her insurance policy.
Yeah.
Our office called the insurance company, and within a matter of days, she got her wheelchair.
That's amazing.
But we handle everything related to New York State matters, whether it's Department of Labor, unemployment claims, taxation, DMV, liquor licenses. That seem to take a year. There's a year backlog to open up a liquor store to get your license in New York State. We should be encouraging more and more businesses. So we do something that I think is different than what previous senators have done. Mm-hmm. I have 34 years experience in the private sector as a CPA.
For that alone, you deserve an applause. A round of applause for Bill Weber. 34 years. That's amazing.
In the private sector, I take that experience and know that government is inefficient in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
We want to make sure that when people call our office, we help them in any way possible because in the end, they're very important, and we should be as a government. Okay. That's what we are. We're a government resource.
That's amazing.
We should be making sure that we pick up the phone and answer everyone's needs.
You speak to the people. That's the idea. There's been recent talks about the government losing funds over COVID. Now, I do know, and we have heard that Rockland County specifically, in New York, the funding has just gone, people don't know where the money is.
Right. My experience as an auditor tells me to believe that the state needs to have more checks and balances on the money that's going out. We know for a fact that over the last 2 years, it was in the budget, I voted against it, but we allocated $4.3 billion with a B to the migrant crisis in New York City.
Wow.
I can assure you that there's a ton of waste, fraud, and abuse. When they're giving out money, they're giving out debit cards, and people have access to money.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Access to money on those debit cards. Yeah. We don't know where that money went.
My taxpayer money.
It's taxpayer money. Money that should go to our schools, our roads, our infrastructure, tax relief for people that are struggling living in this area. But what we do is we waste in the state, and we don't necessarily have checks and balances on where that money's going.
You're going to fight for that.
That's fine. We're going to continue to fight for that. We need our money. And you know what? We send a lot of money to Albany. We should get it back here in services.
We are sitting on a lot of potential.
Look at the economic look at the economic activity right here in Monsey or Airmont itself. We have bustling businesses. We have people that are working hard every day, but they need to have more disposable money in their pocket in terms of tax relief.
New York City has become a sanctuary city, right? And they want to send all the migrants over here. So how are you going to fight that? for us?
Well, first of all, we shouldn't be funding it. Taxpayers should not be on the hook for it. We tried to get it removed from the budget this past year. We're going to continue to call out the inefficiencies and the fact that most New Yorkers, especially people in my district, do not want this state and do not want the city to be a sanctuary state and city. The federal government needs to get their act together. They need to secure the border, and New York State shouldn't be encouraging more and more illegal migrants to come here because we can't afford it. We can't afford to do basic services for our hardworking taxpayers in our district. We need to take care of them first and foremost because we've seen the impact. There's been estimates that there's over 1,100 new migrant students in the East Ramapo School District
Illegal.
in the last 2 years.
Illegal.
Yeah, correct. Because anyone, as long as you're school age, you're allowed to go into a public school system.
Of course. I know that myself. I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand.
The average cost to educate a public school kid is about $35,000 a year, which means it's having a $35 million impact on a school budget for migrants coming up into from the city into this area. Money that really should be not be happening in the first place.
How can this mess be cleaned up? I mean, I myself afford.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we need. We need to elect people more like-minded people like me here and throughout the state, so that when we go to Albany and we pass budgets and we prioritize, as I like to say, as we prioritize our money in the next year's budget, future year's budgets, that those priorities are what the taxpayers in our area and what the residents in our area want and have sent us up there in the first place, and not sending it on saving every other person on the planet. We need to take care of ourselves first.
Exactly. I want to point out something to the viewers. I want to say something very important, and I want your thoughts on this.
Sure.
The fact is that America's become a TV show. It's been a TV show, like a soap opera, whatever you want to call it. We kind of see how the media paints the picture of a U.S. president or a U.S. senator. It's all about fame, and it's all about I'm better and I look good and I represent a certain color or creed or whatever it is. It's not about that. You hear voices of people actually talking facts that matters to us. Money, budgeting, living, taxes, safety in the streets. I mean, come on, inflation. Let's not talk about all the wars all over the world. I mean, it's I don't know what I think.
So I'm a homeowner in Montebello. We've lived here in town of Ramapo for 17 years.
17 years. Wow.
I'm a homeowner. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a father. I'm a husband. I have 4 kids in schools. I understand the concerns, and because I have the same concerns as most of my residents. I have the same fears of what my residents too. So I think having that experience, living that same life as everybody else, I think gives me, the educated knowledge to go to Albany to really fight for those things that we want to have fixed in this area. Because you're right, when we hear, even locally, not if we could talk local really, there's been big increase uptick in people getting their homes broken into. So, public safety, we live in a very secure area. Don't get me wrong.
I know that.
But crime is always on the rise in these areas.
I never know.
and these bail reform laws or cashless bail that they put into effect a number of years ago is a terrible idea because you're having the same people over and over and over again doing crimes, not getting arrested, getting let out immediately, and waging terror on people in their homes. Knowing that your home is getting broken into probably makes people so distressed right now. So we need to make sure that we get our laws in effect, or laws strengthened so that the criminals aren't prioritized. Homeowners and residents and everyday citizens are the priority, not the criminals.
Thank you. I really appreciate that you're saying this, and it's helpful to hear this from someone like you.
What's up, Assemblyman Carl Brabenec?
Oh, hi, nice to meet you, Gershi Schwartz. In other words, anyone who doesn't vote, really, Bill Weber for Senate, is, I don't know what's...
is wasting their vote.
Yeah, I mean, let's put it this way. If you don't vote for Bill Weber, you vote for the other side, you're basically voting for another TV show. Wanna live, right?
I love it.
There we go.
Thank you.
Bill Weber for Senate.
You're the best. Great.
Guys, Bill Weber for Senate, Republican Party. Don't forget, this upcoming election is coming up now. Make sure if you're over 18, and remember, your vote does count. Don't think it doesn't count, it does count. Every single vote counts. Let's turn New York into a
red state.
There we go. Okay, Bill Weber for Senate, everyone. Let's do this, okay? Amazing. Nice to meet you.
Excellent.
Very good. Amazing. Can I ask you a question on the record? Well, not because I want to be personal about it, but who are you voting for?
Who I'd vote for?
Yeah, president.
Not for Harris.
Got it. Amazing. All right, let's go inside. Let's see what's going on there. It's free speech. Every time you say something, you're scared you're going to be attacked for it. It's just okay. Just vote.
Vice Chairman of the Ramapo GOP.
So, who do you think he's voting for? Should I leave the answer to them?
It's clear.
The option is very clear. I know, it's very, very clear. We shouldn't have a problem saying it out loud, I think. That's the real truth, right?
Definitely.
There we go. Okay, guys, the election's coming up. Go vote.
Most cases, I simply don't trust any policy of the Democrats. Whenever they promise something they're gonna deliver or fight for you, they don't deliver it. They don't do it.
Yeah.
Versus a right wing, like a Republican, Bill Weber is the right guy, and he is.
Hands on the table.
The genders are right, and everything is right, and all his opinions are at least rightfully on the right side. So automatically, he will fight for us in the right way, not try to go between the lines and try to.
And what would you say to someone who's on the left side to make sense of it? Not to try and convince him and force him, but I feel like they're all drawn to some sort of.
The Democrats always they make the problem, and then they tell you that we're gonna fight for you. Take an example, the Texas. Take an example, the Texas. Yeah. They put in a monitor.
Yeah.
And now they have a problem with it. And now they're claiming that they're gonna fight it. Don't put in a monitor, don't fight it. So stop it right there.
Like, vote for Bill Weber. Send vote for the Republican Party. Vote for Trump. There's nothing I can tell you. Ik kan nog convinced. Bedacht aan ja, mens. This leven. Ernest, thank you. Sure, nice. What are we gonna have to do?
What we need to do is we need to obviously not let the commissioner get away with what she did.
Okay.
You know, the voters in this district voted for a 1% tax increase. That's what they voted. That's their constitutional right.
Okay.
They voted for their school board members. That's their right.
Mm-hmm.
So an unelected official like Commissioner Rosa to come in, instill her own tax increase, and to threaten the school board members by saying, if you don't vote for the tax increase, we're kicking you, we're firing you from the board.
That's what they said.
And we will appoint our own board members in the interim until the next election. So if an unelected person like that has that kind of authority, we need to relook at that authority that she may or may not have. That's going to be litigated. But we need to make sure that if that's the case, if she does have that power, I argue that that's too much power for one person to have.
Right.
Because this is not what the voters want. And what this district needs, the district needs to have the proper amount of education funding, especially East Ramapo. It's been shortchanged for 17 years, about $20 million a year, equates to over $300 million of money that this district should have been getting with a well-designed foundation aid formula. They're doing a study now. The Rockefeller Institute is completing their study. In fact, I was on a Zoom call this morning with Congressman Lawler and other stakeholders, other stakeholders, talking about the necessity that this formula needs to be updated and it needs to be acted upon by the legislature next year, so that districts like East Ramapo, Suffolk, Clarkstown, all of the public school districts as well, are getting shortchanged. It's money that they desperately need with the rising cost of not only transportation costs, but all other costs of running any type of a school is going up. The district needs their fair share, and we're going to fight to make sure that fair share comes. And we're going to fight against any authoritarian move by these state agencies when they come in and they just say, we're going to do this because we say so. Well, that's not necessarily what should transpire in a democracy. We always talk about democracy, but when it comes to East Ramapo and what the voters said they wanted or didn't want in terms of a tax increase, all of a sudden that got thrown out the door, and it says, well, we want to install our own monitors, we want to have our own tax increases, and we want to have our own school board members if you don't do what we say. Well, that's not fair and that's not constitutional. And if it is allowed by whatever court case statute that she's saying she has the authority on, I think we need to look at that as a state, because if she's doing it here, she's going to do it in some other district, because they'll use it as precedent to go forward in other districts. So we can't really allow that to happen.
Wow. Now I'm going to ask you a different type of question. How do you look at America, the United States of America? It's become more of a fight of personal power kind of versus actual policies that you want to implement.
What I say is that you have a lot of people that I think are in office for way too long that forget why they ran for office in the first place.
Again, I want to hear that statement. This is powerful.
They state there's a lot of people that are in office for way too long and they forget why they ran for office in the first place. And I think all of them had great intentions at the beginning.
Right.
But they become part of the institution.
Yes.
They become part
of the problem.
Yeah. And having new blood in government is always a good thing. But having people that want to be there and want to serve their community is something that we really should be encouraging more and more of, so that things get done in this state.
Yeah.
Because we need forward thinking. We don't need people that are thinking like dinosaurs.
I'm excited about this, and I have a very positive view outcome of this. I think it's going to be good for us.
Great, thank you.
I believe so.
Right.
Thank you again. I appreciate it. Again, I'm going to say it. I don't know what happened there before with the camera, but I'm going to say it again. You should go out and vote. There's no excuses. I'll take you myself, okay?
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Have a good job.
Morty Becker. I have the privilege of working for Senator Bill Weber. Senator is a great individual, very down-to-earth, hands-on. He resolved in his 2 years in office 1,500 constituent services cases. Tremendous.
It's amazing.
Yeah, tremendous. Like so many different people have been helped from all throughout the district. You know, no matter which part of the district they're in, whether in Clarkstown, Orangetown, Haverstraw, Ramapo. Anyone knows they call Senator Weber's office, they get help right away. It's tremendous.
It's an amazing question. How do we get the Heimish community to understand what is going on? Because I feel, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like many of us who are not up there and busy with politics don't understand the importance of voting really for these people. Because Republican Party has represented something that we actually need in our country. I mean, even the Democratic Party years ago, I read about it, was also on a normal level where, you can have a dialogue, a conversation. Right now, it's all about, you hurt my feelings, and then we can't talk anymore, right? So what do you see?
So Garshi, I think two things. I think number one, people are starting to understand very quickly where things are going. They're going to get on Monday, Monday's the deadline for filing their taxes. Everybody got a 5.5% tax increase dictated, from the powers in Albany. Senator Weber is trying to fight it. So everybody's getting hit in the pocket.
Okay.
It's probably a collective $8.5 million amongst our community. So I think people are waking up, and they're waking up fast.
Free speech, free world.
Free country.
Free country.
I'm not sure the progressives believe that.
That's my point. That's why we're here today.
Yeah. The senator himself, he went to private schools for 12 years.
Yeah.
So he kind of understands, his kids are in public school, his wife is a superintendent in a public school district. So he really gets it. He's for everyone. He's for the public schools, the
I asked
private
about the school
schools.
vouchers, by the way.
Right. And he just understands it. I think that his positions really naturally align with our community. So whether he's speaking at an event in Orangetown or Clarkstown or Haverstraw or Ramapo or within the Frum community, it's the same message because it's what he believes. On the other hand, you have progressives who are trying to make deals and, come into our community and twist themselves into a pretzel to try and, mesh with our community, but it just doesn't work because it's not their beliefs. And then, they say something for private schools, because they feel like it might get them a few votes.
Yes,
but
exactly.
then it ticks off their whole base. So it's just like a whole...
It's a mess.
It's a whole mess. And, but Senator Weber, his message is consistent.
And he's grounded. I can see that.
And he's grounded, right. He's a businessman. He's been the CFO of a large golf and construction company for 20 years. He gets it. He's on the ball.
He understands me and you. Understands everyone. You can see this. Look at this. Show this very clearly. It's focused. Okay? And if you want, you can look at the screen and barcode. You can scan this barcode over here. Election day is November 5. Bei dem was verstehen ist, Dalit, Cheshvan. Geht's heraus und votes. Geht's fahren. Oktober 26 noch fahren, wir können gar nicht voten. So that the menschen who are out of finance, you can't get into over. That's a problem. Anything, the choose too taxes, then health insurance, then schools, as issues the busing, is anything. As ook nog vriend, vind een pothole bis dan een grote business problem with us. Just talk to him. Red ze zijn. Vote was hij is, want als ook is de red ze zijn. If you vote for them, you can talk to them, and they can help you. Thank you.
Help us, help you.
Exactly. Help us, help you. That's it. Thank you. And thank you so much, Morty, for working for us. I'm sure this is hard work for you, and you manage to dedicate a lot of your time to this.
I enjoy every minute of it.
Thank you.
Very good.
Amazing. Wow.
He
enjoys it, which is amazing. Thank you.
Als mijn naam darf gaan voten,
Ze mag dat gelijk?
maar men darf game the service.
Yeah. I can't mention. Why should people vote for Harris?
What? Because they have dementia.
Das ist er.
Kasper Gesnachmen, glaube ich.
Pinchas Nachman, glaube ich. Hast zwei Namen für große Riesen in der jüdische Judentum von der Welt. Weißt du was? Erstens Pinchas.
Okay.
Pinchas, ich bin ein Mensch, ich bin ein Fighter. Ja? Man redt zur Nacht, da macht man gar Movement auf der Welt. So, das Alliance war es auf dich etwas. Okay, jetzt sind wir gar wegen dich. So, wo ist das hier? Komm mal her, wo ist da Road?
Hier die war all living the campaigns.
Okay.
Dinners, events.
Van Michael, van Bill Webber, alles.
Die van mooiste organizations, awareness drives.
Okay.
Sie gegaan op Wien, sommige weten toilet zitten in the state. Dus hebben gedacht, mensen zijn een maand district. Ik woon in Woodbury. En ik ben gezeten met Chris Higgins' office. En dan ga ik zeggen, ze kunnen het even over de tijd. Basically, heel de grootste naar zero. En dan ga ik naar Scoof's office. Kan je dat kan appointment is gekend bij Campbell Scoof's office. Literally ignored here the heat. So any toys gedacht die ben gegaan door Rafi Silberg doe. Rafi zat sadig is dus nog gedaan. Jede toy was me daar had delivered right away. So, from some interesting something that vertreten. So I jumped up and I beschlossen, you know what, there's no choice. There's no other option. It's missing St. James School in Rosen, ein anbringen am Mensch. Was geht er aus sich von jetzt schon für jeder meinen. Wenn sie so, any issue was einer will, so man kann man auch.
Schon jetzt auf den Augen, da fahren Sie...
These are council member jetzt in Town of Monroe. But any issue was man will, die hype sie jetzt auf der Phone, sie läuft drin mit jedem. Das ist someone du jetzt gerade, das ist Bill Weber läuft drin, das ist Brebenek ist du, das sind nur die Republicans. Sie sind du, sie zerwien stand jeden Jochit, in jede Kehle, in jede Mäuses. Es sind du ins representen, ich zu sein, ich zu Pedro.
Wow, ja.
Ich so mal direkt. Und wir hype ist auf der Phone auf mich, he is fired.
He's fired.
That's it. Das ist auch mir jetzt nicht.
Du hast das Besuch von der Gevre, auf der andere Seite, und das ist nicht keine schlechte Sache, das ist verstehen nicht die Policies. Sie sind fired, I'm sorry, two taxes, die ganze Sache. I'm name two, exactly. So thank you so much for your service. Go out and vote. There's no excuses. I'll take you myself, okay?